Welcome back to our next video. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for all those that have viewed them in the past and all the likes and so on YouTube. All right, there's a little activity that you can have a go at to get you started. It's 26 rectangles. All right, so what are we doing? We're looking at area today, area of simple shapes and compounded shapes, as in just straight rectangles and then bigger shapes that we break down into smaller shapes. All right, so once again, on our work rate calendar, we're in here looking at area next to Mr. Bump there. All right, so area is square units of a physical space that we see in like 2 dimensions. We have units of area such as the square centimeters, square meters, and square kilometers. They're our main ones. So they're our commonly used metric units of area. We're not talking about imperial systems like feet and inches and all those sorts of things. We're talking about metric units. So square kilometers is for large areas. So that's an area that's like a square kilometer is an area like it's a square that's a kilometer by kilometer, such as like the area of a city like we've got on the slide there. Square meters, obviously smaller. We all know, should have an idea of how big a meter is. So a square, that's 1 meter by 1 meter, right? That's 1 square meter, all right? Such as that window there, or a classroom floor, something in that sort of area, that's size. Square centimeters, like the size of a textbook, a sheet of paper, your exercise book, that sort of thing. Or square millimeters, so that's 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. That's for obviously much smaller things, such as a postage stamp or a button is probably a good example. All right. Typically, once we get to this unit of measure, the object wants to be smaller than a centimeter by a centimeter to use square millimeters. Now, when we talk about area, in particular land area, we often refer to a hectare. Okay, so a hectare, which is abbreviated to HA, is 10,000 square meters. It's a particular unit of measurement. If you think of a square shape again, it's an area that's 100 meters by 100 meters. So if you think about like your running race at school, a 100-meter race, it's 100 meters long. Think about 100 meters in the other direction and make a square. That's a hectare. And often we'll city parks or something are referred to as hectares, but land out in the country, we often refer to its size in hectares. All right, so finding the area of a rectangle. So the area, we have our nice little formula, length times width, LW, or if you'd like, you could say length times breadth, LB, same sort of thing. Breadth and width mean the same thing. Okay, a square is a special scenario because the length and the width are the same, so we can just say length squared, like that one there. So here's our example down here. We've got a rectangle, 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters. We want to work out the area. Here we go. First thing we do, write our formula down. A equals LW. The next line, we substitute in the numbers. What is the length? The length is 4 centimeters. So we stick a 4 in for length, and it's times the width. The width is the other one, here's 3, 4 times 3. And the next line, 12. 4 times 3 is 12. Do not forget the units, they must have units on there. If this guy's in centimeters and this guy's in centimeters, then you want square centimeters there. Also note that our equal signs form a nice little line down there, which is just a nice way to set out your mathematics. Make sure you have those points. Write your formula down, substitute in the numbers, write an answer, put units on there, keep your equal signs in a line. Here's some more examples to try. So we'll do the same thing. We've got a rectangle, write our formula down. Length times width, 5 times 3, because they're my 2 measurements on there. 3 5s are 15. They're both in centimeters, so it would be centimeters squared. And this one down the bottom here is done exactly the same way. All right, now we've got a bit of a compound shape. It doesn't work with using just the formula that we had down here because we've got two different shapes. And what we're going to do is break this rectangle into two smaller rectangles. So you can see what we've done is we've cut it through the middle here. This is rectangle 1 and this is rectangle 2, like we've done up here. First thing I'm going to work out is the area of rectangle 1. Write the formula down. Rectangle 1 is 4 centimeters by 2 centimeters. Numbers go in. 4 times 2 is 8 square centimeters. And then we do the next rectangle. Write the formula down. Area of rectangle 2. See, we've specified it's the other rectangle. And it is 2 is its length, 1 is its width. 2 times 1 is 2. And the units. So total area, so we've written here area of shape. You could just write total area equals 1 plus 2, which is just this line here. So rectangle 1 is 8, rectangle 2 is 2 square centimeters, 8 plus 2 is 10, and units go on the end. Okay. All right, I'll go to the next one. Same with here. We could split it up there and make these two rectangles, or we could cut it down there and make two rectangles that way, as in this one and this one. All right, and it's up to you which way you go. All right, but if we think about it, this guy here is 8, and that's that total length there. This one here is 2, so this side here must be 8, take away the 2, is 6 meters. Or you could do it the same other way. This side's 12, if that's 8, that must be 4 meters. It doesn't really matter which way you go, right? Because you'll end up with the same answer. I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll cut it down there, and this can be rectangle 1, and this big one here can be rectangle 2. All right, so area of rectangle 1 is length times width. So rectangle 1 would be 8 by 2, because that's this rectangle here. That bit's 8 by 2. 8 times 2 is 16 units. Area of rectangle 2 is length times width. So rectangle 2 is 8 meters long, 4 meters wide. 4 8s are 32 meters squared. So area total is 16 plus 32 is on my next line there. My pen's not working properly. So that would be 48 meters squared. 48 square meters. Okay, next. Now with this one you can see we've got the same sort of thing, but it's just a bit more. We've got to divide it up into smaller rectangles, like we could divide it up into 3 rectangles like that, for example. Okay, and that's what we've done. We've got rectangle 1, 2, and 3, and then we just go through the same process. Rectangle 1, write the formula down. What is rectangle 1? That's this guy here. It is 10.2 by 9.7. That's what's in there. Multiply it. They're both in millimeters, so square millimeters. Right, in rectangle 2, now we have to work out how big rectangle 2 is. So for example, I know that this entire side is 21.7. This one side of rectangle 1 is 9.7, and the side of 3 is 7.3. So if I take this one and this one away from this one, which is what I've done there, I get the length of that side. Then I need to know the length of this side here, so it'll be the same thing. The whole thing is 18.5, and I want to take away this length here, and that leaves me with that little bit that's left in there, which is the side of rectangle 2. 18.5 minus 15.9, and we multiply it all out. Same with rectangle 3. Rectangle 3 is a bit easier, 18.5 by 7.3, which is what we've got there, and we multiply it. And then all we've got to do is put all those numbers together. That one, rectangle 2, and rectangle 3, which has happened down here, and my total area, 246. It's just the same process. We're just breaking it up into smaller rectangles, and there's more of them. Okay, and so you can have a go at these ones. This one here, you might like to divide it, say, through the middle there. All right, let's call this 1, 2, 3. Rectangle 1 we can see is 12 times 4. Rectangle 3 we can see is 2 times 6. 2 times 6. So we've got to work out rectangle 2. All right, so what do we know? We know that this side is 6, this side is 2, 6 minus 2 is 4, so that side is 4 meters. We know that the side of rectangle 3 is 6. We know that this little bit in here is 2. 6 take 2 leaves me with this bit here is 4 again. Okay, and you can work those three out just like we have the rest of them. All right, a few more to try. This is exactly like the one we did at the start there, except we were dealing with kilometers. Length is 7, the width is 2, 2 7s are 14 square kilometers. Question 17 is exactly the same, we just don't have a diagram. How many square meters of carpet are needed to carpet a rectangular room? You know it's a rectangle. Its length is 5 meters because it says that there, so here's 5 meters. Width is 3.5. It's the same question. All right, a bit more that you can have a go at in your own time. All right, you might want to split this guy up into two shapes like that. Shape 1, shape 2, and off you go. Same answer with that one. Same, done exactly the same way. And more of them, it's done the same way. The only difference here is we don't have diagrams. All right, and there's just one extra thing which makes it a slightly harder question. We've got to find the cost of laying turf. That's $12.50 a square meter. All right, I'll have a go at this one then. So Jane's landscaping a lawn. It's rectangular lawn. It says rectangular lawn. There's my key bit. I need a rectangle. 13 meters long, 8 meters wide. Okay, how do I find the area? Length times width, 13 times 8, which I haven't done in my head. 13 times 8 on trusty Mr. Calculator, 104. And it's in meters, so meters squared. Now it says, that's the first bit that I've answered just there with that question mark there. The next bit starts from here. What is the total cost of the turf if it costs $12.50 per square meter? I want to know how many lots of $12.50 are there in my my thing there. Like 1 square meter, let me say it a different way. 1 square meter costs $12.50. I have 104 square meters. So my cost is going to be the number of square meters I've got times the cost per square meter. 104 times $12.50 equals $1,300. Don't forget your dollars. Okay, that's the only extra bit on there. All right, you can have a go at the rest of these ones. These are just optional extension activities. Let's have a crack at the exercises on the screen there. Thanks for coming. See you next time.